All right, so I'm going to go ahead and dive in here. So when we're going to the requests and rosters tool, we're looking in scheduling and courses, and then it's right in that first main area of requests and rosters. And you probably don't see quite as many tools as me, but that's okay. It should be right at the beginning there. Um,
I'm sorry, I wanted to add one more thing.
mm,
Everyone, she's working in New Look, just so you know. Um, and we sent out information last month that Classic Look will be going away August 25 or July 25, August 25.
Sometime this summer,
So,
yeah.
yeah, it's a good time to start working in New Look.
Um, Yes, and actually that'd be next summer. So don't mean to raise alarms, but okay. So yes, I am in the new look. You actually will not have access to this tool in the classic look. So if you're looking for it, you might not even see it, especially if you're in the scheduling board. You can't get there from the classic look. So definitely need new look. You also need the tool rights for it. So if you're not seeing it, you may need to refresh, or you may need to flip to the new look, which we can get to the new look by going to the user menu and toggling try new look on, and it should get you there. Okay, so my user menu probably looks a little different, and definitely a few other things throughout are going to be different, but navigation in the new look, again, I went to scheduling and courses, and then I went in the scheduling category to requests and rosters. So if I close out of my menu, I can make this full screen. There's a button down here at the bottom. It's going to make it much easier to work with. There's a lot going on all of these tools, so I always recommend you make it full screen. You can always get out of that by clicking that full screen button again. All right, so this request and rosters tool allows you to create course requests based on a scheduling team, an ad hoc, existing requests, or from previous section rosters. You can remove course requests. We can edit course section rosters right from this tool. It's kind of a catch-all for a bunch of different tools that you may have used in the past. And again, this is a new tool, so if you don't see it, you may not have been given tool rights. You may need to request access from Ami and her team. So the requests and rosters is a batch tool that combines the functionality of 5 separate tools. This is going to include the previous section roster batch edit, request wizard, roster copy, manual roster builder, and section roster setup. So all those 5 tools are combined here. And so those will be phased out in actually August this year. So definitely get used to using this tool for any of that functionality when it comes to anything requests, basically anything rosters, we're going to come in here. So in this tool, we can either view by students or courses. So I'm up at the top left here. Students and courses are the 2 different views. I currently have it on the courses view, but I can toggle over and switch to my student view. I'm going to turn off the details just to make this a little bit easier to look at. So if I view by students, this is going to list students enrolled in the selected calendar. So if I were to go out of full screen, I can see I am working in the future calendar year. I should have said that right at the beginning. Future calendar year, since I am setting up my requests and rosters for next year. So 24-25 in my fictitious Harrison High School with all of my fake students in it. All right, so here I'm in the students view. This is going to be the default view is going to just list some student information. If you flip that show details, it'll give you a little bit more. I'll talk about that in just a second. So from here, I can see the demographic and enrollment information. So I have the student's name, grade level, I have their local student number. If they're on a team, it's also going to list that here. Underneath, I have some information. We have a count of unsatisfied requests. And so that would be classes the student requests to take but have not been added to their schedule. And I also have a count of the total number of rosters for the student. So I've got kind of a variety on my screen here. Most of my students are in some rosters already. So I'm midway through my scheduling process, or I'm honestly almost done for some of these students. So like Michael Bauer, he's got 12 rosters, he's set to go. But you might notice like Nadia Atwood, she's got 13 unsatisfied requests. She really hasn't done any scheduling. So yours probably is not going to be as random as this. I just wanted to show some different examples, but that's what those numbers are showing. So like you saw when I first came in, I can expand this to see the detailed view. So if I flip that toggle to show details, underneath each of those students now, I have the different types of requests that they have. So if I go down to Nadia where she had all those requests, I can see what they are as well as the type. So are they R or E? And then if they are actually rostered in a course, I can see those over here on the right. So if I go over to Dylan, he's got 12 rosters as well as what his primary teacher is for each of those sections. Okay, so that's kind of an overview of if I have this view by students on. I can also flip to view by courses. And this is going to list all the courses that are active in the selected calendar. It's going to show each section of the courses that also includes the teacher assigned to that section, the max student count, and how many students are currently scheduled into that section. There's no detailed view for courses, so it can be kind of a lot to look at. I'm going to show you, I'm going to go back to student view and run through a scenario, and I'll come back to courses in just a little bit. So if I turn off that, I'm in my student view again. So let's say you want to add student requests for core classes at each grade level. So maybe I want to add English for all my ninth graders. I want to add science for all my ninth graders going on by grade level. So in this case, I would want to most likely view by student. Then I can filter. So you see this filter button at the top. I can filter by grade level. So I've got this flyout that came over on the right, and this is going to allow me to filter by student name. I could filter by an ad hoc if I have one created already. I can filter by unsatisfied requests. But the one that I want to talk about is way down at the bottom, which is grade level. Oops. So if I click on grade level and click on, let's just do ninth grade for now. Now my list of students is only going to show my ninth graders. I can filter by multiple grade levels. So if I just want to do my ninth and 10th graders, I could put both of those on, or I can just keep it by ninth grade. Once I've got my student filter on, I can close out of that flyout menu. And once again, now you can see I just have ninth graders showing up over here in my list. Okay, so what can I do with this filter? Well, one thing you may notice is there is a button at the bottom that's called Batch Edit Student Requests. There is also a Batch Edit Student Rosters. So again, depending on what stage in scheduling you're in, or potentially if you are elementary versus secondary, might determine what button you use here. But since I just have my ninth graders selected, I'm going to batch edit their student requests because I want to add requests for all of my ninth graders. So when I clicked that batch edit student requests, it's going to pull up this batch edit student request information flyout menu. So I can check my number at the top, make sure I filtered correctly. Yes, I have 220 ninth graders, so that looks correct. And then from here, I can add requests for an entire grade at one time. So if I want to do this by course, I can search right here. So if I want to add, let's do English 9. I can add that for every single one of my ninth graders right here. So I would click on it, see that check mark come on, and then down at the bottom, there's a blue button for add. All right, I'm just going to pause there, see if there's any questions on that. Pretty cool combination of using those filters and the batch edit requests. Okay, so I could also do this for multiple. So I could be doing, maybe I want to do integrated math 1. That added to my list. I check it, and then I can add multiple all at one time. Okay, so just a reminder, I was just doing ninth grade in my filter, and then I was searching by course. Okay, there's also a button over here to select all. So if you're working with a whole bunch of courses all at once, you could do that as well. All right, so I'm going to, well, before I close out of this, note you can also remove requests this way. So you can do that based on your filters and based on what you have selected here. I'm going to go ahead and cancel out of this because I don't want to mess up my data too much by throwing in all of those requests. That would be a lot of requests. All right. Okay, so that button at the bottom to batch edit student rosters. Sorry, I got a notification there. This would be helpful, especially for those elementary schedulers or anyone who is manually building rosters or copying rosters. So for secondary, this may be later on in the process potentially, but this is definitely going to be useful for elementary. So I don't have any elementary students here, but I could show you if you batch edit student rosters, this is going to take you it's giving me that warning that this is actually going to affect attendance and grading. Since I'm in the future year, I'm not too worried about it, but I can use course, department, or this one allows me also to use teacher in order to batch edit those rosters. And yeah, it essentially functions the same way. So if I wanted to change, I can change the start and end date here. And actually, Christy, have you put the knowledge base article in the chat? Yes. Okay. So I would say definitely check that out. Play around with this tool. And I think I'm going to move over now to talking about the courses view. So that would be, that was when I was viewing by students. Next, I'm going to talk about viewing by courses. So let's say you wanted to remove course requests for an entire course. So I have a course in this high school that's Microsoft Office skills. It's no longer going to be offered. There just were not a lot of students who put in requests for this. So you could view by course, and then I can batch edit course requests. So actually let me filter, and I'm going to filter by course. And there's my Microsoft Office applications. So now it's just showing my one class over here if I close out of this. And now if I go to batch edit course requests, I'm going to type in on my unsatisfied requests, I'm going to type in that course number here. So my Microsoft Office is 8300. Actually, I'm curious if I can type in just the name of it. Let me see. Yes, so you can type in the number or the name. And then it's going to filter down students who have that as requested, but they haven't been able to be rostered in it. So since we are no longer going to be offering that course, there's just not enough students who have put in a request for it, I can batch edit that. So I could select all by using my select all button here. And then I'm going to click remove, and that is going to take out the students' requests. If I am in the batch edit rosters, it's going to function very similarly. I'm just talking about requests specifically. Okay, so overall, this is a great tool to manage student requests. You may also be gathering requests from teachers, from students in the student portal, or possibly your school uses academic planning. So requests can come in from a lot of different places, but this is a great tool if you want to add them, batch edit those requests, put them in for multiple groups of students, or you can really filter down and make it specific to a group of student, play around with using some ad hocs. I think you'll really like the update to requests and rosters once you've gotten a chance to play with it and add it to your repertoire. All right, Christy, are there any questions that I should address before I move on?
Nope, I don't see any. And like I said, definitely scroll back up and grab that knowledge base article. It's very cool too. There's a section that will say, it'll talk about those 5 previous tools that you use, like the roster batch or the roster copy, manual roster, all of that. And it'll literally compare like, okay, you used to do this in the manual roster builder. Here's how you now do it in requests and rosters. So it really shows you kind of side by side how to do those tasks that you used to do in the 5 tools and how you do them now in requests and rosters. So it's a great article. Oh, you do have one. Can you show how to batch edit, add an ad hoc?
Ooh, I'm not sure if I have any ready.
Do you have
Let's
any?
see. Yeah, I can show. So it's going to function essentially the same. So if let's do, trying to think where I might have one. Let me reset this. Let's see if I can filter. So I could specifically filter my students. So there's a couple places we can use an ad hoc. This would be one place in my filter for students. So I could do, I'm trying to think, maybe I'd want to do something with like behavior events or I've got so many. I know I have some activity ones. Were those at the top? So if I wanted to do chemistry club, maybe they all need to take like a certain chemistry class or something like that. I could filter by that ad hoc, close out of it, and that's just going to pull up students here who are part of the chemistry club. And then I can use that batch edit student requests or student rosters potentially to make those changes.